A revolution is happening. It's hyper-local, it's hyper-focused, it's hyper below your feet. Not far from our studio, a new generation of travel is being born. Elon Musk's Hyperloop is the theme for our Virtually Rick. So let's dig deeper. Come with me and let's get virtual. Here you'll recognize, yes, it's California, and the purple part is Los Angeles. Now, here in Los Angeles, we've got a problem. We're in love with our cars, obviously. Our roads are jammed, and driving to places further upstate, like San Francisco, can take half a day, or if you fly, maybe 3 to 4 hours total. It can drive some people absolutely crazy, just like it did this guy, Elon Musk. He went bonkers, and he decided to do something about it. Here, he's talking about an idea that he floated a few years back in a white paper, an idea that we could choose a new way to travel from Los Angeles to San Francisco in not 3 to 4 hours, but 35 minutes. He's talking about a Hyperloop. What on earth is that? I'll show you the principles right now. You may remember a long time ago when you went to a bank, you had pneumatic tubes that they would transfer the money in. They would put the money in these pods, and then they would put them up the tubes, and they would disappear off into another part of the building. Well, if you remember that, you're probably in your 70s or 80s, but the principle is still the same. Elon wants to put you and your closest friends inside this pod and transport you around 760 miles an hour, whoop, without hopefully turning you into human jam. How does he do it? Let's take a look at an electric motor. This is a rotor on the top. Look, it is a rotor, right? And underneath it is a stator. This is an electromagnet underneath. This is made of metal, so if we switch on and off the stator, this is what's going to happen to the rotor. It starts to move and generates energy and movement, right? So remember, this is the rotor, this is the stator. This is how you're going to travel in the Hyperloop. This box here is where you're going to be sitting, and this is the rotor. Remember, that's the thing that moves. These along here are the stators. They are the electromagnets, and the more electricity you put in them, and of course do it in sequence, turn them on and off, you're going to be traveling along this track. I'm really simplifying it here, but that's the basic principle. Problem is, if you're outdoors, there's going to be weather involved, and that's going to slow things down. It's also going to cost more to travel. So how do we solve it? Well, Elon and a bunch of bright people came up with the idea, why not do it in space? Well, yeah, that's a bit expensive, but this is what we could be traveling in the future, the Hyperloop 1. And in space, of course, there's a vacuum. So what did he do? He came up with the idea of putting a tube and then sucking the air out of it and turning it into a vacuum-filled space. And basically, because of that, there's no friction, and you get a sweet, sweet ride. Basically, the same sort of environment that planes have up in the atmosphere, except there's no turbulence down here, and you're going to move very, very fast through this tunnel around 760 miles an hour all the way up to San Francisco. He's been digging already. He's been digging in Hawthorne, that's Elon, and he's now digging a new tunnel all the way over to the Dodgers Stadium. You can get there pretty quickly. And how's he doing it? Well, of course, he's using a mole. Okay, not that kind of mole, for goodness sake. But that's how he's doing it. So in the next few years, you'll be starting to hear more and more about hyperloops that are being built all over the world. And like the Victorians thought about the motor car, we'll all be very suspicious that we'll burst into flames or become rather squishy. The truth is, this new form of transport is likely to take off faster than airplanes did. After all, that's quite similar, just a bunch of us sitting in chairs in an aluminum tube going hundreds of miles an hour. The difference will be, though, that soon I might be able to commute to do this job in Los Angeles from England in less time than it currently takes you to cook a baked potato in your gas oven. Hopefully, though, by doing it, I won't become a hyper-baked potato. The future is coming. The question is, will you be in the loop?